Good morning, dear friends on Zoom. Have we got sound? We do. Yay, may it persist. Hello, YouTubers and Ustreamers and Facebookers. Goodness gracious. It's a lot to remember, all these names. I hope you were well this morning. I hope you slept well. I hope you and your beloveds are safe today. As safe as humans can be, I guess. And hope the dreaded virus is not at your door. Kind of a big event happening here in the U.S. these days. About, I think, 2,000 dead overnight, probably. Of course, to put it in context, there's that other figure that every day, 150,000 or more people die on the earth. So it's a strange thing, this coming and going that we do. Quite uppermost on my mind these days. Check all my settings. It looks like everything's working. Yay. Several people were asking, let me just do this for a moment. This is the world headquarters of the Buddha Broadcasting Network. All right, back to a poem from this beautiful little book. Some of you saw it when I began these broadcasts. I was very enamored of it at the time. Still find it quite remarkable. These are poems, the first free women poems of early Buddhist nuns. Poems from 2,600 years ago. Women who found their way to awakening. They come from the Pali Canon, the language of the early Buddhist teachings. It's Pali. Friend of the dark. I was always smart. If the path was good, I figured it would make me even smarter. One night while meditating, I watched my thoughts piling themselves up all around me. My mind built a house out of all those thoughts and then filled that house. Soon it was a whole city, a whole world. Oh, my beautiful, beautiful thoughts. Who will look after you after I'm gone? I swear I could weep for all of you. My sisters, do you really want to be free? Are you ready to leave behind all your precious little houses and make your home everywhere? It's not as hard as you might think. First, stand up, then walk out the door. I was always smart. If the path was good, I figured it would make me even smarter. One night while meditating, I watched my thoughts piling themselves up all around me. My mind built a house out of those thoughts, then filled that house. Soon it was a whole city, a whole world. Oh, my beautiful, beautiful thoughts. Who will look after you after I'm gone? I swear I could weep. I could weep for all of you. My sisters, do you really want to be free? Are you ready to leave behind all your precious little houses and make your home everywhere? It's not as hard as you might think. First, stand up, then walk out the door. So we can hear that as a call to abandon everything and go and become a nun. And we can hear that as a relationship to all of our attachments. to see them really clearly, all the things we cling to, and to become less identified. To set ourselves free. And this coronavirus time is requiring that in some ways. I take refuge in the Buddha, the one who shows me the way in this life. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya. I take refuge in the Dharma, the way of understanding and love. Namo Dharmaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Dharmaya. I take refuge in the Sangha, the community of mindful harmony. Namo Sanghaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Sanghaya. Beautiful song, isn't it? For just a moment there, I had an image of being Mr. Rogers. Now that's a high aspiration, isn't it? Okay, my friends. Now for the best part of the day. Let's walk out the door. Let's watch those thoughts build fantasies around us. Let's watch them build fears of the future, or long for pleasant experiences from the past, or let's watch those thoughts congratulate us or castigate us some way or another. And let's come home to here, to this moment, to this breathing in and breathing out. To the practice of intimacy, attending to the body, perhaps as you never ever have done before. One breath at a time, awakening to the fact of the wandering mind. the entire world, that is all of our experiences. Experiences of the eye, the ears, the nose, the tongue, the feeling body, and the mind. Are all a magical display in consciousness. What are we really? Are we the stories of a single lifetime? Are we the fears of this solitary mammal that is concerned about what's happening? Or this? This mysterious capacity of awake presence, receiving each breath as a freshness, a newness. Notice how each breath comes out of no-thingness. It doesn't exist, and then all of a sudden it does. In the Satipatthana Sutra, the Buddha speaks of a turner, a person who works at a lathe. When doing a long curve, knows I'm doing a long curve. When doing a short one, I'm doing a short curve. Details, intimacy, closeness. I don't know if the microphone is sensitive enough to pick it up, but there's a woodpecker very active in the trees here. There are sounds that perception articulates as cars on the freeway. Are these experiences outside or inside? Or is outside and inside irrelevant? Allowing the breath to be a beacon, like a lighthouse. Come home to yourself, to this presence. And of course, if the wandering mind has intensity and the trances of everyday life are strong, you could be identified. You could be building a house of desire or aversion, of restlessness and agitation or worry or doubt or sleepy dullness. or some emotion. Don't worry. Awareness is big enough, inexorable enough that you wake up from that trance. You walk out the door into now, here. This beautiful present. Sometimes, after sitting a while, there's discomfort in the body. Or perhaps sometimes, after sitting a while, the mind becomes calm and quiet enough to notice the ongoing discomforts or chronic pains even in the body. At such a time, we return perhaps a little more fervently to the home base in the breath, in the sensations of breathing. But if it persists to break into the field of awareness, then we turn very intentionally directly toward the discomfort, toward the pain, the physical pain, the emotional pain. We sit still and we open to the experience of sensation in the body, painful sensation or pleasant. We open with curiosity. If there's suffering, we observe the fact of suffering. And if there's suffering, we can observe the fact of tanha, or thirst, or wanting something to be different, the cause of suffering. And in so doing, we walk out the door. We experience the ease that arises through acceptance of what was previously unacceptable, pain of a particular kind. as we reach that place, that domain in our lives, when it becomes clearer that consumption will never fill us. There sometimes comes a natural turning inward. A walking out the door. It doesn't have to be at all worldly walking out the door, a abandoning of everything, but inwardly it is that. And we find we become more generous, more compassionate. We can see the madness around us, stockpiling toilet paper, building fortresses of I, me, and mine. And we do have company on this journey, the Sangha. And I encourage you in this moment to attend to the person sitting here between your hands, and perhaps to invoke the great ancient mantra, I love you, with your name at the end. This form that took birth, this collection of stories, this being with hopes and fears, I love you, with your name. And to the crows nesting in the tree up above here, I love you. Open your heart to these crows. Open your heart. It's such an interesting piece of jargon. What does that mean? It means this. I'm willing to open the door of my experience to you fully. You can be who you are. You can be a woodpecker, or a crow, or a person in the car on the freeway. You can be my friends sitting here. Think of some kind, loving phrase and extend it to the people in your family. Simple something like, may your life become one great sigh of gratitude. Or, may you be free from attachment to all that changes. Or simply just, may you be happy. May you be free from fear and danger. May you live with ease and grace. May you be liberated. And so we open to the moment. Please embrace the aliveness of this body that you have the privilege of living a lifetime in. Breathing in and breathing out and knowing it. And noticing the aliveness of the body, and perhaps it wants to stretch. Letting that stretching happen, letting it begin, keeping your eyes closed perhaps so you can be really in the body. Don't abandon presence just because you're moving. When we finish this time of being together this morning, don't abandon your presence. And now, perhaps letting the movement stop and coming home to the eyes. And then allowing the eyes to open, which takes intention, which takes a little effort. Seeing. It's a multi-layered phenomenon. There's the seeing and then there's the knowing of the seeing. I want to be sure you all know about Where'd it go? Here it is. See if that will come to you. Oop, that's not it. That's my tent. There. The PIMC gathering around our talents, such as they are. This, I believe, is on my blog, portlandinsight.org/blog. It's been sent out a couple of times on the listserv, on connections, and I don't know if it got on the web or not, on the website or not. But even if you'd like to participate, email Tiffany below. If you don't know how to get a hold of Tiffany today to reserve a spot, email me, robert@robertbeatty.com. And if you just want to come and watch us be silly together and have various degrees of talent, come and do it. This number could be useful, 955-661613. I could never remember that, so if you have a pencil, that'd be good. And then there's this. To support your Dharma Center, in recognition of the importance of your inner life and opening the doors, literally, ultimately, to others, please join the contributing circle of friends around PIMC. There, I did that. So I think this morning I just want to open the door and hear from you and invite you to share your discoveries on the journey and any questions you might have, or any appreciations of life or any complaints about how it's unfolding.
Hi, Robert. This is Karen.
There's Karen. Hi, Karen.
Hello. I'm just feeling very grateful today, just appreciative of our Sangha and this place that I can direct kind of where I want to go in life by this little patch of sanity.
This is the lighthouse.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm so appreciative of all the friendships that I've made in this Sangha.
Mm-hmm.
It's a source of strength.
Yeah, me too. Thank you. Yeah, isn't that true? I've grown so familiar with some of these little postage stamp sized pictures. It's so wonderful to see you so often. Oops, lost you. There we go. I'm struck this morning by the discontinuity between being identified with thoughts and feelings and perceptions and self, and the need to get something done, or the need to be a certain way, and just being. Where the sound of a woodpecker is as relevant as whether I get my to-do list done, or I know I have spent a lifetime in, quote, recovery, codependent wise, and I can finish one of these morning broadcasts and then think, I didn't say this, or I haven't done a good enough job advertising the talent night or something, or maybe responding to someone's question that really wasn't inadequate, wasn't, I could have, and there's all that level of personality, and then there isn't. It's the walking out the door thing. There's that, and then, or even if there is that, it's like, so what? That's just the mind building houses, building rooms, building fantasies, building a self. In the stories of the Buddha, after his awakening, he said to Mara, the creator of the delusion, I see you. I see you. And never again will the ridgepole of this house be built. The ridgepole being the identification with the self. And then throughout his life there were many other encounters. Even on his deathbed there was, I see you, Mara. So it's this mysterious awareness that can... it's such a relief when it's there, isn't it? It's such a relief.
Robert.
Connie.
Hi.
Hello. How are things over on Mount Tabor?
They're good. I've been going up to Mount Tabor quite a bit.
Uh-huh.
But I'm an avid hiker, and I missed hiking. And yesterday I went hiking, and I saw my wild flowers.
Uh-huh.
And I saw wild orchids, and I was feeling guilty that I was on land that I shouldn't be on.
Uh-oh.
And that
we won't report you.
And I said to my husband, please don't post this. And it was like, I felt guilty that I was enjoying for the first time in, I don't know how many weeks. When did we start this?
About 1.5 years ago.
Yeah. And that we actually got lost. And it was BLM land, and it was fabulous.
Uh-huh.
And we were the only ones there. And so guilt is a tool during this time for me to, because I'm pretty happy, and my life is still full, and I'm busy, and I don't dwell on the guilt, but it's there. It's like, and it was a tool that was used when I was a kid on me quite a bit. So maybe you could speak to us about that. Thanks.
I'm bicycling. My neurosurgeon forbade me to bicycle until summer. I love bicycling. And I'm not wearing a mask when I bicycle. I'm not near anybody. So what the Dharma piece that came to mind, though, is something that there are, in our meditation, we're cultivating mental factors. We're cultivating mindfulness, concentration, patience, energy, joy, and so on, equanimity. We're restraining or uprooting greed, hatred, and delusion, the 5 hindrances, and so on. There are 2 mental factors that are known as the protectors, and they're called hiri and ottappa. I think of my teacher Manindra used to say endlessly, hiri ottappa. And hiri is moral shame, and ottappa is moral dread. And when we do something which causes harm to ourselves or another, a healthy human being, a human being who has been cared for well during the first 2 years of life and developed the empathy center in the brain, when we do something that harms ourselves or another or is unethical, it creates a little feeling of shame, and it's like, oh, that wasn't good. And then that's very useful, because then when we're about to act in a similar way again, ottappa comes up and says, I don't think I want to feel that way again. And it's the moral, ethical sense that we develop in life, and we work hard to cultivate it in our children. So then guilt is a kind of added on story that you're a bad person because you did this and so on. And there's something about becoming a grown-up that every now and then I feel like I'm achieving it. I'm getting there finally. And something like going hiking, that's the rules, and it's probably a good rule that it's there, so we don't have thousands of people in the forests and gathering and so on. But then one can look at, there's the moral shame naturally comes up. I was told not to do this, but then, we do get to make some cognitive choices and balance things and find our way through life. So how lovely that you got to have a hike yesterday. And I hope that's helpful. I'm not going to stop bicycling. I do have a conversation with my neurosurgeon next week about, they did another a CT scan to see if the clip is in the right place on the aneurysm. And I don't know whether I'll confess or not. I think I probably will, with my Catholic background. As pull aside the thing and the priest is there, and I think I'll tell him I am bicycling.
That must have felt wonderful to be back on your bike.
Oh, it was heavenly, really nice. And I'm so weak. I lost, it's so sad. I lost so much strength through those weeks of lying in bed and on the couch, and it's amazing. But it is coming back. I can feel that my low back pain is 10% of what it was 3 or 4 weeks ago, because I'm doing my yoga, and it's encouraging. Yeah. David, you look very monastic this morning.
I feel monastic. I have this fantastic quilt. My aunt made me when I started treatment. It's they're Australian Aboriginal patterns, but it's like it's a very masculine quilt. So
well, there you are.
Happy to receive it. I think it's probably my most treasured possession.
my blankies are. I have my gray blankie here and my orange blankie that I've had for my whole meditative time, and I love. One goes to my son and one goes to my daughter when I die.
Oh.
Yeah.
I also feel there's things I'm not supposed to be doing, like not endangering others, but even for myself. But I really want to keep doing them, and I feel that pull and that urge, and it's there.
And isn't it wonderful to have enough awareness to notice, well, this is the rule, and I shouldn't do this, but I can evaluate it's a risk to me. You know, that we can actually approach our behavior skillfully and then make choices that aren't just follow the rules. Yeah. And there's certain rules that really make sense. Don't drive down the wrong way on the freeway. That really does make sense. But then there's others that are open to our interpretation.
Yeah.
It's a great image of you. Oh, let me remember this. The other day, I had a meeting with Rebecca, our children's teacher, and we were thinking to do a 20-minute children's meditation thing for online. And it turns out that her internet strength is not adequate. She's researching that. And also her camera on her laptop is abysmal. So I said, well, let's just get you a camera and then we'll try again, because we have to have a decent way to project this. And you can't buy a computer camera. I forget what they're called. The plug. I have one right here. You can't buy one in the world right now. They're gone because so many people have turned their desktop computers into communication devices. So if you happen to have one of these that's a spare, please email me, robert@robertbeatty.com. Thank you. Anybody else, please?
Robert, it's Russell.
Hello, Russell.
Good morning. Two things you said really struck me. One on the moral part. About a year ago, the little colony of, well, I didn't know that at the time, but I would hear the occasional scratching in my walls. And eventually I decided probably I should do something about that. And there was a place, I walked out in the garage one day and saw this very cute little mouse scurrying up a broom handle to go through the hole in the wall or the foundation where they were entering. So I initially put out regular traps, and that I just do. After killing a couple of mice, I just couldn't stand doing that anymore. So I got capture and release. Turned out I had quite a little colony that were making themselves at home. I think there were 16 all told. I finally yeah. It's like I was starting to feel like I was taking over their house. But a couple of times, and it happened again yesterday, I leave these traps out. They're a little hard for me to see into, but I try to look every time I go in or out of my garage. And on a couple of occasions, I have missed it, and the mouse has died in the trap, probably of starvation or dehydration, and I just feel horrible.
Yeah.
When that happens, I feel so awful.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm working on figuring out a way to remind myself to always check, but it's so hard not to get distracted on a given day and suddenly realize the day's gone by and you haven't looked, or maybe a couple of days. And the other thing was on weakness, and I realized that's the part I'm having the most difficulty with in aging. My legs are quite After my heart surgery, I got back into pretty good shape pretty quickly. But my legs have continued to be weak, and it might be one of the medications, but I've been practicing loving myself and my weak legs as they are. And as you know, that is not, at least for me, that is no easy acceptance.
In that saying, aging is not for the weak. The weak of heart. It's really a big deal. Thank you, Russell. I wrote an article, short article years ago called Killing Ratty that I'll put on my blog. And it's a similar story, but we had rats in the house, and in the end I wound up killing rats. And I just encourage you to read it. It's very informative to this. Thanks.
Oh, and the thing is, they're so cute, these little mice, and they're so harmless. Mm-hmm. Except, of course, I don't want them eating the insulation on my wires.
Of course.
Thank you.
Well, and the first rat that I killed, using the rat zapper, an electronic thing, I put out on newspaper, and I sat with it for an hour or so, watching, and there was no difference between that rat and the gerbils and rats we had for my kids. It was a beautiful creature, amazing. So, anyway, I encourage you to read the little article. I will post it, and also, or I'll send it directly to you, Russ. And then also, lost it. Thought
Thank
gone.
you, Robert.
Yeah, bless you. Oh, and a story just to finish this. The monks come to the Roshi and they say, Roshi, we can't go in the Dharma hall. The fleas are so thick. We just can't practice. And the Roshi said, well, then kill them, of course, with compassion. When we take antibiotics, we kill billions of beings. Little single-celled organisms. Oh, I remember what I lost there. Some 20 years ago, I looked at an insect. I don't know what kind of insect it was, but some insect. I looked with really good magnification. You know, at all the thousands of little facets on the eyes and so on, and the little knee joints, and I realized that swatting a fly is really killing a being, because they're complicated, and sometimes there's the place to swat a fly, or to use pesticide or whatever, but we do it consciously. That's the big difference, I think, that we realize I'm killing right here, and my intention is to minimize my killing and doing harm. And when there's rats in my daughter's bedroom, I think in the end I wound up doing away with them. But it was a powerful exercise of love and compassion and consciousness, and realizing the difficult nature of life on this earth. How are we doing for time? Oh my goodness, it's 8:04. How did that happen? Tick, 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 tick. Is the coronavirus a being? I think the coronavirus is a virus, which is different, I think. They're pretty small anyway.
Technically, they're not alive. That's why bactericides don't work on them.
Right. A virus isn't alive, from Randy. Okay, there we go. Yeah, they invade cells and then they use the activity of the cells to reproduce. And then sneeze themselves all around the place. Anyone else? Please, if there's something on your heart, and then we probably should end to the next person. Is this stone alive? Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I don't know where I got this training, somewhere in my life. When I've picked up a stone from the beach or somewhere to bring home, I always ask permission. Or acknowledge that I am appropriating something, I'm taking something. There's a whole thing happening on the chat that I can't track very well because I want to stay in contact here. Well, so I hope you consider coming to the talent show tonight. We've done one or two of these live at the center before. They were really fun, and don't think you have to have a I don't know, highly polished talent. Just something to share with your friends.
Hey Robert, is it possible to post a video during that session? I made one the other day.
Sure, why not? Sure. You know how to. We'll have to be sure to turn on the sharing, but okay. Let Tiffany know what you want to do. I think I'm going to ask her to run it.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, dear ones. Let me take one last glimpse at your beauty. Oh, there's a dog. So I'm going to unmute everybody and let's close with our lovely little...
Oh, you want to come?
Oh, here. Hi, Stephanie. Was that you calling the kids?
Trying to get Diego, yep.
Are they coming?
Oh, they're busy playing Legos.
All right, good. Good for them.
Yeah.
May all beings be happy. May all beings be happy. May all beings be happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. I just remembered something. Which is that the story Killing Ratty is on robertbeatty.com. Oops. Can you hear me still? It's acting up at my end. Anyway, it's on robertbeatty.com, and you look under resources. Killing Ratty is there. All right. I can turn back on the... There it is. Goodbye, all. Have a lovely day.
Okay, bye.
Don't say that.
I said not to be unhappy.
Yeah.
Have a great day.
Enjoy the cacophony of life.
I'm gonna unmute if people start talking.
All right.
Bye, Connie. I see you.
Hey, Allison. Hey, Jim.
Hi, Allison.
Hi,
Bye, Jim.
Yes. Oh, there you are, Allison. Bye-bye.
Hi, Robert. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. You bring me joy.
Oh, no, good to see you.
You too, and see people consistently too.
Hello, Ross.
Including some new people. Like you, Maria Christina. It's nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. Nice to see you too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hello, Stephanie in Doha.
Oh.
Hi, Robert. How are you?
I'm pretty soft and open this morning. Very easy presence. It's very, it's nice. This is really powerful.
It's changed my day.
Yeah. Oh, here's my dog. Budo. Oh, come on back. There's Budo. Hi. Hello, everyone. Oh, Dobby's trying to get in too, but she's too big for the crack under the door. Oh, she's
very cute.
She could tear the
Look,
tent.
there's Budo. There's Budo in my face.
All right, there we go. All right, loves. Happy day. Oh, I forget. I'm broadcasting there too. How silly. So, dear friends, take care.